here. I'm curious if anybody else has noticed. Is there something wrong with YouTube? For some reason, I cannot bring YouTube up on my phone. I don't know what it is. Obviously, we're up because I'm on the iPad, but it's really kind of strange. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, it is Friday. We're sitting out here with the Tacoma in the garage. And before we get going on the topic, which is aftermarket exhaust, there is something that I need to mention. You know, I put a video out about the push button start. And it's funny the kind of comments you get. I've been called old. I've been called, having manual dexterity problems. In other words, apparently I can't control my hand well enough or arm to push that button. I think some people completely miss the point. I don't know what it is, but it's very funny. The point is that sometimes you go to hit that button and you hit the one beside it because you can't really see down there, right? You just kind of start poking with your finger, you know, and you go in the wrong spot. But sometimes that happens, right? And it happens to me quite frequently, I guess. So I don't know. But anyway, let's get to it. The exhaust on the Tacoma. You know, I've had many exhausts on the Tacoma. Well, not many, a few, a couple, a handful. And I'm always disappointed. You know, they come, they're all nice and shiny, hopefully not dented up or anything. But you get them, and then you put them on, and you start it up, and you're like, if you go with the TRD exhaust, for instance, on the Tacoma, you're probably disappointed. At least I was anyway. You know, I cranked that thing up and I got just the tiniest bit of little grumble, maybe, probably in my head, and that's it. Nothing else. Completely different for the Tundra, of course, before they put the V6 twin turbo in it. On the old V8 Tundras, now they're old, right? It was fantastic. You crank that thing up and it's boom, and it sounds awesome, tough, man. But not so much on the Tacoma. And the other thing that I've noticed, not the TRD exhaust, but all the others, is when you're out there on the road, they're very tinny type sounding. You know what I mean? They're very, not tinny, I guess is the best word. They just don't sound good. You can hear them in the background. They're drony, just not a good thing, right? So in lieu of an exhaust, if you're looking for sounds, which is always what I'm looking for, right? I'm always looking for a deeper, throatier sound in the Tacoma. This is the best way to go. I'm going to show you what it is. You probably already know. Maybe you already know. That is, if you actually watch the channel, you would know, right? Let's pop this puppy up. Not to mention, it just looks awesome underneath the hood. Can you guess what it is? I would think you'd be able to guess what it is because it pops out right away, right? I mean, when you look under the hood of my Tacoma, something grabs you right away. Any guesses as to what it might be? I'm curious to know if it's caught anybody else's eye. While I'm waiting to see what you guys think, let's check out some comments here. Daryl Watts, hey Rob, how's South Texas? It's not bad today. It's overcast. Matter of fact, I'll just show you. It's the beauty of being live, right? I can walk you out here and I can show you what South Texas is. It is cloudy. It's a cloudy day. The palm trees are not glistening like they normally would. I know it's tough, right? I know it is, right? But it's relatively warm. I probably don't need this coat jacket thing on. But went to the grocery store this morning, and I got to tell you, the grocery store is always freezing. But it's probably time to take this thing off. Let's see. Let me get back to these chats. For some reason, they're disappearing on my screen. I don't know what it is. I need to change something. There we go. Jim Geyser. Hi. Hello, Jim. How you doing there, buddy? Mr. Rug Dude. Good morning, Rob. Mr. Rug Dude, how you doing? Cleaning any carpets out there? How's the business going for you? Is Friday a big carpet cleaning day? I'm curious to know. Let's get back to these comments. Gene Garrett, cold air intake. I think that could be it. Mike Norman, my guess is the air intake mod. Of course. I mean, when you look underneath the hood of my Tacoma, trying to balance this iPad. I'm used to doing this with a phone on a stand, so it's a little different with an iPad. But you can see it right there. Now, if you're not familiar with it, excuse me, what it is, I'm overwhelmed with joy just looking at it. What it is, it's the K&N open air intake. And the reason I call it open is because it is open. You can see right there, there's no cover over it. It's not really a cold air intake per se. I mean, there is air being fed in from where the other intake was, right on the side, right up towards the front. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. If I drop you guys, I apologize. Right up here. That's where the old intake used to come in. It's actually right down there. There's a hole. And of course, cold air is being forced in through that hole, right? I don't know why I keep looking over there. But it's being forced in through that hole. So you are getting cold air. But traditionally, I guess, a cold air intake is a box that's fed solely by air, for the most part, coming in through that opening in the fender area. Now, it can suck air in from there and also from under the hood, obviously, because when the hood is shut, it's going to pull air in from all angles, right? I mean, it's not just going to be from that side spot. But I had some comments. I did a short the other day, and I was in the truck, I think, and I revved it up a little bit, and I've had some comments from people asking me what kind of an exhaust I have. And that's simple. I don't have an exhaust. The exhaust on this truck is stock. So it's nothing aftermarket or anything like that. It's just the sound that you get out of that intake. And it is a K&N intake, or K&N, yeah, intake. And it has been customized, of course. K&N, to my knowledge, does not offer a lime green tube like what I have in there. And I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it matches the truck pretty well. It's not exact, but it looks pretty good. And the thing that I like about the K&N is metal. It is metal. It's not plastic. It's not that, what is it, HPS, which, by the way, HPS, they do have a pretty cool looking tube for their intake. May just be the tubes, and I think they do sell the tubes by themselves, but they're pretty cool. They're like I don't think it's a composite. It's a plastic or rubberized or some kind of heat resistant. I don't know what it is, but some kind of flexible, like rubber material or something. And you can get it in a bunch of different colors, although I don't recall seeing it in electric lime green. So HPS, electric lime green, that's the way to go. I mean, come on. So there's a bunch of different choices out there. Now, I've had other cold air intakes or cold air intakes before. I think this one, and I had one similar in the magnetic gray metallic truck, so I had some experience with it, I suppose. But otherwise, I've always had the closed cold air, traditional, I guess, type intakes. Typically, they were S&B. I had one other one I tried. I think it was Volant or something like that in a Jeep. And I just didn't get that throaty sound. I'll tell you, the best closed air intake that I've ever had was the Air Raid for Jeeps. We have one in my wife's right now. I had one in my Jeep Gladiator. My mom has one in her Jeep Gladiator when she had it. I shouldn't say that. She doesn't have the Jeep Gladiator anymore. But they give you a nice, throaty, grumbly sound coming from under the hood. No exhaust work needed. And you can't get much simpler than that. And from a cost standpoint, you really can't beat that much either. So let's see. Let's go back, see if we can see any comments. For some reason, something's going on with YouTube today. I don't know what it is. I can't access YouTube on my phone, either YouTube Studio or regular YouTube. At least I couldn't. Let's see if it pops up now. I'm showing messages here or there, but now I have YouTube Studio back up. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but something really wacky out there, at least for me. Maybe it's not across the board. Now it's back up completely. So I should switch to that for comments and stuff, and then maybe I can actually see comments on the live stream. Let's go in there and find out. On my phone, it says, let's see, upcoming. Nope, I've got you guys. Now it's going to start talking. Got to get rid of the volume. There's some commercial for something up on there. I don't know. But let's see if I can get to comments. All right, this is much better, I think. All right, we're gonna try to do it this way now, as far as comments go on the phone itself. So let's see. Got you guys in front of me there. Mr. Rug Dude, work's been a bit slow, bad economy, plus on-off rain, watching too much YouTube. No way, man. You can never watch too much YouTube as long as you're watching the RobMotive channel. I mean, you know, what can I say? Gene Garrett, I know what you mean about the stock sound. I have a 2021 XP TRD Sport 4x4. I was disappointed when I first bought it. Yeah, the sound is horrible. And the engine noise from the Tacoma, and I don't mean going down the road or anything. I mean if you pop the hood or you're just maybe sitting at a light or something with your window down, you hear that constant ticking sound. Tick, 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 tick. Drives you a little crazy if you listen to it for long. And somebody asked me on the channel recently if that was normal. I've never had a Tacoma that doesn't do it, except maybe way, way back, and I don't remember. So as far as I know, they're all the same. It's just the nature of the Toyota engine. So let's see. Donald Ricci. I'm going with Ricci. Tell me, sir. Oh, please, just call me Rob. Can I put 265/75 R16s on my 2022 TRD Pro? Well, let's take a quick look. What am I running? I'm running 265/70 R16s. I had to remember there for a minute. I don't know. The TRD Pro suspension is a little bit different. The setup is a little bit different. So you'd be best off to ask a tire shop about that. Or you know what you do, and I did this with my last set of tires, actually on the Jeep Wrangler back there. When you go to the shop, Discount Tire, this is the place to go, because they will bring in more than one set of tires for you and not charge you for them. And then you can mount them, put them on the truck, you know, one or two. It's only the front that you need to be concerned about. But you can go ahead and have them put on the truck and then see if you're going to have any issue. I mean, between the top part of the suspension area and the tire, you need about that much room, about an inch. Inch and a half is even better. So it depends on offset. But then you have to be concerned about front and back of the tire. You know, is it going to hit in the fender well area? So that's what you need to look for. And that's the best way to try, because not only is it a question of the tire size, but also the wheels that you're using because of offset. So no one can really answer that question without all of the detail. And then I would still check it out. Make sure that they mount a set before, at least on the front, before you buy them. Robert Stovall, or Stovall, did you paint the tube yourself? I did. I did paint that tube myself. There's a couple of little imperfections in it. They're on the bottom or the lower part in the front. You can't really see them. So, you know, not a big deal. But I did. It wasn't that bad. I just I roughed it up with some, I think it's red or purple Scotch-Brite. And then I cleaned it with rubbing alcohol. And then a few coats of primer. And then the paint itself. And I usually do 3 coats of primer and 3 coats of paint. And then a clear coat. I can't remember if I did a clear on this application or not. I believe I did. Dale Box 1. Hey, Rob. Happy Electric Green Friday. There you go. Dale, do you have an electric lime green Tacoma? Are you part of the Brotherhood? Donald Ricci. Thanks, Rob. You're welcome. Donald Ricci. I'll just stick with the 265/70 R16s. Well, you got to have what you're happy with. And if you're like me, that bug isn't going to go away. It's going to be in the back of your mind, and you're going to be jonesing for those tires. So, again, I would test them out. That's the best way to know for sure, you know. Najaf Agha. Najaf Agaha. Sorry, I tried. That's my best stab at it. Let's see, wave and a heart. I like that, or a heart smile. Josh Phillips, what's up, man? Just switched from a 2020 TRD Sport Tundra to a 2023 TRD Sport Tacoma Ice Cap. So far, I love it, man. I was always curious on the Tacoma. Then I discovered your channel. Thanks for your videos. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I always tell people, you know, if nobody watches the videos, then I'm just some crazy guy on the web talking to himself, you know. So I really appreciate you watching. Now, what I want to know in switching from the Tundra, what year did you have, by the way? Oh, 2020. To the Tacoma, what are you missing? Certainly, you must feel the difference in size between those two trucks. I mean, the Tundra, it's just cavernous. Even if you had the double cab versus the Crew Max, they are cavernous inside. The one thing it's not the only thing, but one of the things that I really loved about the Toyota Tundra, man, when you're in that thing, it's huge. But, you know, the funny thing about the Tundra, and even the new one, is you don't feel that way when you're driving it. The way that they have the hood set up in relation to seating position in the truck, it doesn't feel that big. And I say that because I've had other full-size trucks, Rams, F-150s, in high school. Let me ask you guys a question. In high school, what kind of car did you drive? I drove an old single cab, long bed Chevy pickup truck with dual gas tanks. And it had an old man, and when I say old man, let me preface that. It had a cap on the back, but it wasn't just a cap. It looked like a house, like a small house on the back. It was one of those really heavy-duty, bulky-looking caps, you know? I mean, it was absolutely horrible. Eventually, I got rid of it. We pulled it off. It wasn't my truck, it was my parents. But we pulled it off, and man, it was fantastic after that. Loved it without that on it. It ate gas like you wouldn't believe. Probably got about 8 miles per gallon. But anyway, what did you guys drive? I see there's some comments coming in. Let's see. I'm curious. Let's see here. Josh says, size for sure. I have a double cab. Tacoma, my Sport was a double cab too. All right, so you had the smaller version in essence of the Tundra, at least on the interior size. So maybe you're not missing as much space. I mean, I know it's still big on the top in the front area. I had a double cab myself, and they're still big in the inside as well. Jeff Fielder and El Camino. There was a guy I worked with, this burnout guy. We won't get into that, but he had a friend who had a pristine El Camino. I mean, this thing was redone, repainted, and it was awesome. And that was probably one of the first ones I ever saw. Loved it. Would love to have that car. I'm sure he'd probably love to have it back. I doubt he has it now. But Dale, did the lift in the garage seal the deal on the house? No. The lift really had very little to do with it. It was more so, I guess, coming to a warm weather climate to do what I was going to do, and that was YouTube full time. That's the lift, in case you guys haven't seen it. It is awesome. It comes in very handy out here to be able to do stuff. I mean, given what I do, when I need to be underneath the truck, the Jeep, the Prius. I just did an install on the Prius. I put a Miller Cat shield on. And there's no way I could have gotten under that vehicle to do that without some kind of a way to raise it up. I put it on the left, piece of cake, very simple. But no, that was not, really didn't have anything to do with it, although it's pretty nice. Gene Garrett, I had a 2000 Tundra and switched over to my 2021 Tacoma, and I missed the V8, but I'm used to the 6-cylinder now. Oh yeah, the power difference, huge. How would you like to drop that V8 from that Tundra into your Tacoma? I mean, wouldn't that be cool? Let's see. Josh Phillips. I had an old 93 F-150 short bed, standard straight 6. Really? The straight 6 part would have been interesting. A 93. See, I think the Chevy that I had was, I think it was like a 1970, maybe 72, something like that. I mean, it was it was old then, you know. Do Alex, 56 Chevy truck, 353 on the tree. Wow. Now that would be quite the ride to drive to high school, I would think. I've never driven a manual transmission with shifting on the column or on the tree, as you mentioned. I don't even know if I'd know how. I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't, at first, I would have no idea because I've never driven one. I always wanted to try it just to see what it's like, but I've never had an opportunity to drive one. Jeff Fielder, a wife always have the deal maker on the house. The wife always is the deal maker on a house. Yeah, I mean, she likes this house. I like this house. This house is actually pretty cool. It's a Spanish style house on the inside. We've got archways and stuff like that. It's not a really big house by any means, but there's only two of us here, so we didn't need a really big house. But it's nice. It had been redone on the inside, and they did a really good job. So it's a pretty nice house. Another car I had when I was in high school, while I'm reminiscing here, I actually had, I think it was high school. It was. I had a 1972 Chevy Camaro, and it was a piece of junk. I mean, at night it looked great. It was black. It had an adjustable suspension on the rear end. It had air shocks. So I could raise the rear end up and down, which I did, of course. You know, you have to do that. But it wouldn't hold. Eventually, it would drop. So you'd raise it up like in the morning, and then I'd come out to go home, and it was right back where it was. But it looked cool while it had it. And something I had never experienced before, it had a hard shift in the transmission. I believe it was first or second gear. It would slam. And I think it's for acceleration, for racing. I don't really know what the point of it was. It sucked, I can tell you that. But it would slam into second gear. You get on the gas, it'd run it out, and then slam, and drove me nuts. Fortunately, the transmission gave out, and I replaced it with a new one, or rebuilt one, I guess, and did not have that hard shifter in it. That was good. But the car was great. I loved it. But again, it only looked good at night. It was also my first attempt at body work. Believe me, body work on a car is an art. And if you're not good at it, it shows. And boy, did it show for me. I tried to reshape the fenders because of course they were rusted out, right? So I tried to reshape the fenders with fiberglass. First of all, working with fiberglass sucks. If you've ever worked with anything fiberglass or maybe insulation, when you get that stuff on your skin, it itches, you can't get it off, and it drives you insane. So anyway, I had these fiberglass sheets, and you mix up this epoxy stuff, and you coat the sheet, and then you put it on, and then you're supposed to form it, right? Well, I did that to the best of my ability. Tried to form or reform the fenders, you know, around the edges on the outside. Looked like crap. And then Bondo, you know, you try to put some Bondo on there to, you know, what you're supposed to do, I guess. I mean, you wouldn't leave it just fiberglass, but put some Bondo on there and sanded it. It had sand marks in the Bondo. It had little nicks and things where it met up with the paint. I mean, it was horrible. The whole thing was horrible. But at night, it looked really, really cool. Didn't sound too great either. Eventually, I think I sold it to my sister, and then she sold it to somebody else. They put it in a ditch and broke the frame. So that was the end of the Camaro. But it was pretty cool. I also had a 1972 Buick Skylark. Blown engine when I bought it. It was like $500 or I think it was $700. It ran not well, and it looked like crap, probably at least as bad or worse than the Camaro was. I mean, it had two great big giant rust holes in front of the doors. It had a vinyl top on it that was half gone, and all the metal underneath had rusted. The seats had holes in them. There was just nothing really redeeming about that car. My uncle and I actually, mostly him, pretty much all him, rebuilt the engine, so that was cool. Got rid of most of the problems. Still had carburetor problems ongoing for the whole time that I had it. But got it up to about 108 miles an hour with, I think it was like 8 people in it or something. It was really dumb. But, you know, when you're a kid, you do really dumb things. So anyway, that's just a quick trip down memory lane. Ryan DeBoer. I know I've messed your name up before. I think I had it down in the past, but I've lost it. I had a burrito. Well, that's good. I hope you're satisfied and you're no longer hungry for the rest of the day. People say the darndest things, don't they? Anyway, I just wanted to get on. You know, if you're considering putting an exhaust on your Tacoma, I gotta say, before you do anything like that, try out the K&N cold air intake. You will be amazed at the difference that it makes. And no, I'm not sponsored by K&N. I don't get anything for pimping their product. It just is really good. It's the best one that I've had so far on any of the Tacomas that I've had, as far as trying to increase that throaty sound from underneath the hood. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Appreciate you all for being on here, for joining me, and we'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.